Hey guys, it's V-Man from No Budget Productions, and with me today is my good friend Leslie. Leslie, how are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. I've got my cup of coffee, and I am doing good. I mowed the lawn with Royce today, and he did his first chores of picking up the sticks while Daddy mowed the lawn. So I'm tired, but I'm feeling good, and it's just
Aw,
life is good. So how are
that's
you?
awesome. And I'm doing great, thank you. After a long 2 years off, I didn't really get to do hardly any acting. Obviously, when the whole COVID thing happened and everything shut down. But even the year after that, as soon as things slowly started opening up, I had a few health issues, nothing really drastic or life threatening, thank heavens for that. But, it still was enough to where I really couldn't be running around and doing a lot of fan films and stuff like that. So I got to tell you that after 2 years being like on a sort semi hiatus, it's so good to be up and running and being back in the saddle again. So I'm really excited about uh, things I've done recently. And obviously, one of those things that I did not too long ago was The Pretender. So that was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed working on that.
Well, that was the thing about like I think that obviously you know you can't go anywhere without you saying COVID and someone going what's that I have no idea what you're talking about. Like it affected all of us regardless of which side you're on, whether you're for it, well, not for it, but whether you believe it or you
Right.
don't. Like it affected us all in
Yeah.
in some way. um
Right.
the world basically for a while there just all but shut down. um,
It sure
and for a
did.
lot of us, yeah, for a lot of us, it drove us nuts because we're like, how are we gonna maintain some type of normalcy? Um,
Yeah.
I think fan films, for those of us who could, film from home or do something, it allowed some type of escape, where we could. Um, for others, we just couldn't. We're just kind of stuck at home and just couldn't do anything. What did you do the kind of 2 years that you kind of had to take a hiatus? Because for me, I couldn't go to the sets, so I kind of did my own sets here, and I grabbed people from work who I knew, were healthy. We took temperature checks every day at work, so I'm like, well, you don't have it, so let's safe distance it here in my front yard where it looks like an away mission, and let's keep shooting. Like I had to
Right.
take certain steps to continue filming certain things, but
Right.
what did you do while COVID was out? Because it was hectic for a lot of people.
Well, believe it or not, I actually decided I wanted to take up painting. And I what I wanted to get were actually the kits where it was like, oh, well, that's not painting. But I like to kind of do my own thing with it. I did get like the paint by number ones, and I've done a whole bunch now. And I made some for relatives and friends. And I sort of, even though I painted it the way they want you to, and it's actually, I don't know if anybody out there has done the adult paint by numbers. They do send you a canvas and all the paints and everything you need to do it, but it is hard as heck. I mean, it takes at least 8 weeks to
Mhm.
get one done. And but then after I went on YouTube and looked at all these tutorials as to how maybe you can improve upon it just so it doesn't look so paint by numberish.
Right.
And there's really a lot of really cool little methods of what you can do to kind of make it look a little bit more like you painted freehand. So I really got off on that. I really did enjoy doing that, and that did take up a lot of my time. Um, and so I don't know, other than that, and then just obviously keeping in touch with family. And we still, I don't know, during the holidays, it was really, really hard to not get together. But what we did was instead of all of us getting together, I actually just only get together with my kids. Um, but usually we have a huge gathering, and we did not do that. But no, it was tough. I mean, so that's really, honestly, that's pretty much what I did. And I did read and do a little bit of acting classes online. So I did do some of that. I really wanted to keep at least a little bit of acting stuff going somehow. And I'm trying to think. Um, there was one fan film that I did work on, right? I'm trying to think if, yeah, I think it was before I think we had the vaccines and everything. I really wish I could remember exactly when it happened, but during the whole pandemic thing, uh, Jose really did want to film Nature's Hunger, The Razor's Edge.
Right.
So I remember we did get together and do that, but kudos to him. Jose really did try as hard as he could to try to keep things as safe as he could. He had hand sanitizer like everywhere, and he assured us. I mean, he definitely would have understood if anybody said, "Oh, I feel too scared or too uncomfortable. I really don't want to do it." He wouldn't have done it. But everybody showed up, and everybody did what they needed to do, and everybody was fine. Nobody got sick. So, but believe it or not, that actually, part of it, I don't know if all of it, but part of it got filmed during the whole COVID thing. So,
Well, that was the thing. A lot of, either films shut down, or you when you went to sets, like, it wasn't uncommon to see people in masks, trying to be safe, or keeping the distance, like, whenever possible, because well, real quick, Dan Braylon, he shows up in chat, says, "Hello, everyone." Hello, Dan. How are we doing, brother?
Dan.
And then Star Trek Nature's Hunger says, "Hi, great interview. Thanks for your bravery in doing Razor's Edge." Well, how are we doing, brother?
Hey.
That's one of the things where, I know Avalon, they the Avalon universe, they had the masks, and they were doing, every time they'd go to Warp 66, they'd have, the safety precautions and everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's it wasn't uncommon to see those type of things, and it was kind of the same thing there. Like, you don't feel safe, they'd work around you, and it was the same thing for me. We, the people from work, because we got, temperature checked every day, and we wore masks at work, and it was very, at that time, it was very heavily sanitized at work. Like, we felt 99% safe, and plus we were outside doing most of it, or when we were in our work, here in the sets here in my den, it's like
Right.
we felt we're pretty safe,
Yeah.
but it really was jarring to just all of a sudden go from, the world is great, to, oh, we're in a petri dish.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you had to rediscover yourself in a way. Like I said,
Yeah,
I'm so grateful and glad that I was able to discover this whole thing with the painting,
yeah,
because it just, at least it focused your attention on something else. You're not just sitting in front of a television watching this dire report day after day after day. You're able to, so I mean, kudos for anybody that was actually able to find maybe another pastime, another thing that they could enjoy, that they never knew about.
well, it was a
I
very,
mean, I had never done those paintings before. It was just something that I don't know. I can't remember now how I came about it. Maybe it was just an ad on Facebook that popped up. I don't know, but I don't know. It's just really weird, but I'm really grateful that at least I discovered something that really was a great pastime. And what was really great about it was I also learned how to do framing. I was able to take the canvas and stretch it and put it on the wood frame, and then I framed it myself, because, oh man, framing a painting is a fortune if you have somebody else do it for you. So again, YouTube is a wonderful thing. So I looked
yeah,
at tutorials on how do you frame a painting, and I could not believe how much money I saved by just going out and buying the frame to fit the canvas I had. And I did it all myself. Got to get your drill. There's things you got to drill and stuff. I mean, It's work, but
I,
I
I'm
actually
imag-
really, I loved it.
I'm imagining you're like Tim, the toolman Taylor.
That's
Like
man.
you got
Yeah,
your little belt.
I did. I did. I had my little tools and I'm drilling and putting the screws in and getting it all. Oh yeah.
I, I think for a lot of people it was a very personal experience because we did lose a lot of, you couldn't go to the stores after a certain time, you couldn't do a lot of things after dark or whatnot. Like for a lot of things, having shut down, because I mean, for here Walmart was 24 hours at the time, and then after COVID they shut down at like 10 o'clock, open back up at like 6 or 7. you know
Yeah.
um you know it's one of those things where it's like, before it's like, you really had to, it gave you the opportunity to spend time with family where before maybe you couldn't, or because I know that I went over to
A
my
lot of
father-in-law's
Zoom.
house.
Did you do a lot of
Yes.
Zoom?
Yeah,
There was
yes,
a lot of
dude.
Zoom.
Yes. I mean, this channel grew a lot based on, um, hey, what do you do when you reach out? I mean, watch parties became a bigger thing. Um,
Right.
you know,
Yep.
um, Having premieres became a bigger thing. Like you said, the Zoom stuff, like StreamYards. Um, those things are a regular occurrence now. It's just it made you, to me, it reminded me a lot of, you know finding, finding your core again. It gives you a chance to recenter, and now that we're coming kind of
Exactly.
out of it, you know
Yep.
um so
Yep.
Dan Braylon says, love both your acting performances. um
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I think he might be talking about The Pretender. But before we get to that, because that's the most recent film that we've been in, I believe. Um, let's talk about what made you a Star Trek fan. What was your first core um, awakening for Star Trek? What was your first, what made you a Star Trek fan to begin with?
Well, thank you for asking. My dad uh, was a huge sci-fi and horror and fantasy fan. So I kind of grew up as far back as I can possibly remember, like sitting on his lap watching Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, that
Oh yeah,
kind of stuff, you know,
the good stuff.
the good stuff. Exactly. So I was raised right. Okay. It's parenting done right.
Right, right.
Like you do.
Oh, bless your
And
heart. You're
yes.
trying to get another appearance come back is what you're doing right now. Butterfield, if I know
Hey, yeah,
you.
but no, seriously, it's like I love all your posts and I love see it's like it tugs at my heartstrings because when I see how you are with Royce, it
Mhm,
totally reminds me of how I was with my dad. My dad
mhm.
was a very, way into wanting to be a dad.
Right.
And I was daddy's little girl all the way. And I actually was an only child until I
Mhm,
was 9.
mhm.
So my dad and I, we really did have an opportunity to bond. Um, but but anyway, my dad was way into, I mean, I remember I loved Godzilla and I got Godzilla figures and I even got a Godzilla game for Christmas and all this stuff. Well, believe it or not, because I knew, how much my dad liked that stuff and I liked it too. To this day, I actually do remember the commercials that they were showing for Star Trek. And I was so excited about it because I remember seeing a picture of like a spaceship and the way they were talking about these like strange new worlds and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know my daddy's going to love this show. So I remember telling him about the commercial I saw. And obviously, and he eventually saw it too. So he was psyched. He couldn't wait for this TV show to start. And there we were. We would watch it together. And I just remember I would drive him nuts because I was such a little kid that I didn't really understand what was really going on. I just
Mhm.
knew I liked it because I
Right.
liked all the special effects. I liked the weird looking people. I liked the the phasers and all the transporter. I mean, come on, visually,
Right.
it's awesome.
It had a
And
lot
so
there for it.
I was just like enthralled by it.
Right.
But I was driving him nuts because every 2 seconds I was asking him, well, why did he do that? Why did he shoot him? Why is this? Why is that? Why? And my dad was like, Lezlie, please just be quiet. I'll answer all your questions when the episode is over. I mean, he kept on trying to get me to stop talking so we could
Right.
watch the show. I'm sure I had to have driven him nuts. But anyway, that's how it all started.
Hmm.
So, you know, I've been there since the beginning.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
which one was your favorite episode out of the original series? Looking at the whole thing.
Um, wow, that's really a tough one. Um, I don't know that I really do have a favorite. I
Mhm.
have several that I really like, a lot. And I mean, I hate to sound like so many Star Trek fans because it's probably, I'm just very typical of, I think, most people that like TOS.
Mhm.
I love, The Trouble with Tribbles. And I also really did like Amok Time. I like Tholian's Web. And I really liked, and this is really weird. For whatever reason, it's like drawing a blank, and that comes with age. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's old brain. The where they go through the time, the most probably the most
Yep.
famous one.
The City on the Edge of Forever.
Yes, thank you. I can't believe I couldn't think of what it was. But yes, that episode, obviously, it's such a classic. So
Mhm.
those are the ones I think I really liked a lot. Yeah.
So, so playing a character, or several characters actually that take place in the TOS time, it's a huge thrill for you to be able to do that. Then.
Well, I've got to tell you that never, never, never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought I could even begin to approach being in anything remotely like in a Star Trek film. Okay. And I have always dreamed of being an actress. The apple does not fall too far from the tree. My dad actually was a writer, director, and producer, but for commercials. And my dad actually did write, I have a little bit of celebrityism or whatever for my dad. He actually wrote the lyrics to the Oscar Mayer Wiener song. Oh, I love to be an Oscar Mayer Wiener.
Right.
So my dad actually wrote the lyrics for that. But my mom was actually also an actress. She did do a few commercials, but her primary love was theater. And I remember as a little kid helping her with her lines. But the thing is that um, my parents actually, I told them I wanted to be an actress. And this, whether they did me a favor or not, I'll never know.
Mhm.
But they actually squashed my dream. They did not support me at all. They said, we do not want you getting into that business. It's a very, very tough business. And we want you to you get married and have kids and have a good life, And it's like, so they really did not want me to do it. And being the dutiful daughter I was crushed because that was what my main passion was. But I thought, well, all right, they're telling me it's a horrible life and I really shouldn't get involved in it. So I guess I won't. Well, I did. I ended up getting married and had kids, was a homemaker. And eventually, 30 years into the marriage, I decided I was pretty much done, but I won't go into all of that. But I did end the marriage and sort of found myself, my kids are grown. I'm totally free as a bird. And interestingly enough, I had something post on my Facebook page, something about they needed extras for the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. And it kind of piqued my interest because at that time I was actually living in North Carolina. I wasn't really too far away from Atlanta.
Mhm.
And I had some friends living in Atlanta. And I thought, you know what, maybe I could just submit for that. I mean, I'm like that, I'm sure they won't get back to me. I really was totally sure I would never hear back because it was actually a feature extra role. They needed one person for this one scene with Spider-Man. And but so I submitted on a lark. Well, lo and behold, I got it. And I
Mhm.
was in shock. And I'm going there to set. Luckily, it was a night shoot. So I left very early in the morning. Guess what? My car broke down and
Oh.
I was not able to do it. So I had to contact the studio and profusely apologize. And I thought, that's it. they're going to put a mark by my name. Any hope of me ever being able to do anything, it's gone. I was a mess, but it doesn't really work that way. The main thing is they're happy that you at least contacted them. You didn't just not show up.
Right. Right.
But anyway, then what happened was I honestly was just so crestfallen, and I was talking to my friends. I just said, well, you know what? I think this is a sign. The universe is telling me I'm really not supposed to be an actress, and I'm too old anyway. I'm too old to start trying. And they were like, and they're in the business. They said, Lezlie, you're not too old. They need people of all ages, sizes, colors. If you really want to be an actress, you need to go for it.
Right.
It's not
Right.
too late. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, you need to go for it. So at that point, and this is only like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I thought, well, okay. Well, little by little, I started to get gigs. I have had a lot of roles, a lot of background roles on tons of movies and television shows, core background on Dynasty, where I was like one of the maids, and I was in a lot of episodes with that. And a lot of people think, well, oh, you're just doing background work, that's nothing. And it's like, and that is so not true, especially actually if you get a featured background role, a lot of times you do have to act. I mean, you really have to be able to act. You might not have lines, but you have to know how to act. And with the Dynasty role, I didn't know that this was going to happen. Luckily, I had gotten a few episodes under my belt before they started throwing really elaborate stuff at me. They're like, okay, you need to wait 3 beats, then walk in. We want you to go to the couch, dust that off, push the pillows around, then go stay there for about maybe 5 beats. Then you want to go over to the piano, dust the piano, be over there. They're giving me all these directions and how long to stay there and what to do. And then crisscross, then go over here, do this, do that. And you got to remember it. I mean, there's a method to their madness. They want you to be moving around the room a certain way, and you better time it just right, and you better hit your mark just right. And I mean, it was crazy. So no, there's certain background jobs definitely can be very elaborate and actually very difficult.
And
But
that's the
anyway,
thing. That's the thing
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Oh,
So but I just sort of feel like it is pretty unbelievable. Then what happened, what's really crazy is that this was only my second time of doing any kind of background work. I did work on the movie Jumanji, and this gives me goosebumps. I'm serious, because I almost feel like, it's almost like a God thing. There were 350 extras. It was a big group of people. Okay.
mhm.
Well, guess who one of the people in this big crowd was? Um, and I'm sure you know exactly who this person is, Larry Fleming.
Yes.
And so a lot of people know who Larry is because he's done so much in the fan film industry.
Right.
And we just so happened to sit. The odds on this, honestly, I'm not kidding you, were astronomical. We were in this huge tent, huge, that they had set up for all the extras. Well, anyway, I sit down at this long table. Larry sat down right across from me. We just start talking. Now how the whole Star Trek fan film thing came up, I don't know, but Larry definitely brought it up.
Mhm.
I had actually never even heard of it. I didn't know that there even was such a thing. And so when Larry was telling me all about it, I'm like, oh, I want in. I want in. Oh my God, please, please. And he's like, well, it's not really that simple. At that time, he said, well, I can put you in touch with Randy Landers. I'm actually working on a film with him right now. Maybe, he might be able to use you. And so I was like, well, unfortunately, I don't know. Nothing seemed to pan out. Nothing seemed to work. I couldn't get into being able to get my foot in the door with being able to do any fan films. I was so disappointed. Well, luckily, Randy, even though at the time when I was talking to him, he said, yeah, I don't really have anything, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is not going to work out. Randy, about a month later, texted me and said, listen, if you're still interested in doing a fan film, I just had to fire my lead actress because
Mhm.
I've had it with her. She was giving him nothing but grief. He says, yeah, we've actually already filmed 60% of this movie. and so as a result, she was saying, oh, no, you won't fire me because you've already done 60%. So I know you won't fire me. And he's like, you know what? I'm so tired of your nonsense. Guess what? You're fired. And that was the end of her. So then
Right.
he contacted me. He says, I hate to ask you this with such short notice, but we had everything all set to go for filming more of this movie next weekend. Is there any way you can come here and film next weekend? And I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll be there. So he was thrilled. He was very, very appreciative that on such short notice, I was able to go and do the
Mhm.
part. And it's the movie, The Crown Jewels of Axandaris. I think that's how you say it. But it was my
Mhm.
very first time of ever being in a Star Trek fan film, and I was in Orion. So he had to spray paint me totally all green, and he had to reshoot all those scenes that he had already done with the other girl and then do the new stuff. So we
Mhm.
were there obviously for a long time trying to get the movie done. And but yeah, that was my introduction to the world of Star Trek fan films.
So you're one of the people who, like, I pride myself on working with, people like Josh Irwin, people like George Kyan, people like Gary Davis, people, Frank Parker, Michael King. But I would say you rival me, in that regard, because you've worked on Dreadnought Dominion. Uh, you've worked on the Avalon stuff. You were in, was it Interlude or Axonaut?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I
you were.
actually did get to do it was background. I was one of the crew. But I was in shock. Jonathan Lane cracked me up. He says, yeah, Lezlie, I hope you be willing to come and just be, I mean, I don't have any lines for you. It would just strictly be, you'd be one of the crew. But you're like the Where's Waldo of the Star Trek fan films. He's like, you just seem to pop up all over the
Yeah,
place. And he's like,
yeah,
so I think it would be cute, to have you in my movie. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize I had, what you thought of me as that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay. Thank you.
yeah.
So yeah, I was in that. And then Alec Peters actually asked me if I would please be an assistant coordinator for Axanar. So when I don't know, it was a year ago, a couple of years ago at least, he did some filming at his studios in Lawrenceville, and he really wanted me to help out with stuff with that, and that actually was quite exciting because, again, my old brain, you'll have to forgive me. Martok, I'm sorry, who's the actor who did
JG
Martok?
JG Heltzler, or yeah,
Hetzler, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
He, because I'm Gary Graham's personal assistant, he was like, okay, would you be willing to be his personal assistant? Because he's going to be coming here and filming. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's not a problem. That's fine. Because I've met him anyway, because when I've been with Gary, he's there too. And so he knows who I am. So
Right.
Alec knew them also. So it just was like a no brainer. He was like, yeah, you be his, because he knows you. I'm like, okay. So, but I had to do a lot of other things besides just, be with him and get him everything and what he needed and stuff like that. So, so I got to see a lot of awesome behind the scenes stuff,
Right.
with how Alec was going about making the movie. But anyway, I feel like I'm blown away, honestly, by all the stuff that's happened to me in such a short amount of time, and all
Right.
the people I've met, and even the thing with Gary, was just a really weird thing. That whole thing fell in my lap. I mean, I was just on Facebook, and I get this you get Facebook Messenger, and I just get this message from this guy or whatever saying, hey, I see you like to do cosplay. Your costumes are really good. I like your costumes. And it was just like chit chat stuff. And I guess, I mean, I get it. I think I get it. I mean, maybe I'm thinking too highly of myself. I think he was sort of looking maybe for a little bit of arm candy, but
Uh-huh.
he also wanted somebody maybe that was personable or friendly
Right.
and nice, that kind of thing. And so I think he was just seeing what my personality was like. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And but anyway, I had no idea, because it figures out of all the Star Trek shows there've been, The only one I watched very little of, I did watch a few episodes, but not very many, was Enterprise. I
Hmm.
love all the Star Trek shows, but I just could not get into Enterprise. So
Hmm.
I had no idea who this Gary Graham guy is. And I'm sorry, Alien Nation, even though I did watch that show, was such a long time ago. I'm going to
Right,
remember,
right.
you know. So I'm like, but then I see this picture of him as a Vulcan. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. Who am I talking to here? Right.
Hmm.
So I go to his page and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like freaking out. And I'm like, okay, so you're this guy. You're that guy. And he's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I am. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, well, I want to ask you something. Would you mind coming to Las Vegas and being my personal assistant at the Star Trek uh, convention in Las Vegas? I'm like, who in the heck's going to turn that down, right?
Right,
So
right.
I got to do that. I've actually done a lot of other conventions with him. He's such a sweet guy. He's a great guy to his fans. And what I loved, my learning experience with that was, I'm telling you right now, anybody that goes up to a celebrity and wants a picture with them or their autograph, and if they're acting at all kind of crabby or they're not being real personable or whatever, they really might be having a bad day. You don't know what happened. They might have just gotten some really bad news. They're people. You know what I mean? We're all
Right,
people, okay?
right.
And no, I mean, obviously if you're there and you're so excited to see them, it is a letdown because I've met a couple of celebrities that acted very, very like
Yeah,
they didn't want to be there, okay?
right.
And so it does, it makes you feel kind of bad. But after I had experience with Gary, you get asked the same questions hundreds of times throughout the day, the exact same questions over and over and over. You're told the same thing over and over and over. Oh, I love you in this. Oh, I love you in that. I love you. And you would think you would never get tired of hearing that. But
It gets
seriously,
old, yeah.
it does. And it's like, and it's so hard to keep that momentum up and to keep that
Yeah,
bubbliness up and like, oh, like you're hearing it for the first time, like, oh, thank you so much, that kind of thing. And it's like, but I don't know how the guy does it, but he actually was able to sustain that from the first person he saw until the last person he saw at the end of the night. He was like totally able to do it. And I give him a lot of credit for that. Um, but anyway, I forgot now, what the point was. I think I got off track.
oh, we were talking about the you're going into fan films and what got you into it and everything, and
Right, right. Well, oh, yeah, and I guess my point was in the 5, 6 years or whatever, and we had to take 2 years off for the whole COVID and the
right.
my health thing. So I've had just, I'm not kidding you. I just feel like, oh my God, this is insane. What's
You
happened? And
you had a
and
lot.
then it's a lot. It's a lot. And the thing that happened with Josh and the whole Avalon thing.
Hmm.
He approached me, again, he actually said, I'm sorry, I don't have a part for you. You're just going to be an extra, but you're going to be a zombie. And at first I was kind of like, oh, I get paid. I'm sorry. I get
Hmm.
paid to do all this background work and to be an extra. I don't know, but then he was like, hey, it's going to be at Neutral Zone Studios. Now, I had never been to Neutral Zone Studios and I had heard a lot about it,
Hmm.
and I'm like, well, yeah, it probably would be kind of cool to see Neutral Zone Studios.
Right.
So I was like, I agree to it. I was like, and I like zombies. I'm cool with that. I've been a zombie on Walking Dead, so
Hmm.
I'm cool. I'm cool with it. So
Hmm.
anyway, I went there, and Vance, you've been there,
Yep. Yep.
I almost started crying. When I'm not kidding you, because seriously,
Yeah.
because I thought of my dad instantly. I thought of my dad because my dad would have given the world to have been able to see that and to be
Oh
there.
yeah.
And when they open those doors up for the first time and you
And
get
you
to
go to
walk
the
down,
hallway. Oh, oh, yeah. It's
I'm
it's it,
like,
it, it's one of those things where you don't to those who don't know, and I would recommend to anyone, if you ever have the chance to go see the open house, go. I don't care if you have to give your you know, your left leg to go,
Mhm.
like go.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
it's one of those things where when they do open the door and you go down the hallway and you walk and you walk and you walk. Granted, if you gave your left leg, you probably couldn't walk down there, but you get my point. Um, and hope I don't offend anyone who doesn't have their leg. Um, but yeah, right. But when you go down that corridor and it just goes on forever, it's what you imagine when you're a kid watching Star Trek for the first time, and you're thinking, man, if only I was on the Enterprise. And
Exactly.
is that what you went through as well? Because only those who have been through that understand the it takes your breath away. Am
Oh
I
my
right?
God. Oh my God. It totally does. I mean, I've got goosebumps with you just talking about
Yeah,
that because
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it is. If there's any way anybody that's watching this can go to Neutral Zone Studios in Kingsland, Georgia. They have the fan appreciation days.
yeah,
Just go to their website. They'll let
yeah,
you know when they're going to have it. It's
yeah,
free. It's totally free. It's well worth the trip to go
yeah.
and see it because they
It
did an amazing, unbelievable. It's
not
unbelievable.
and not only do you get to go see amazing sets, sets that even if you're not a because I've told people I'd never liked the original series growing up. I didn't like it. I liked the movies, Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4.
Right.
And I liked the Next Generation because but in my mind, everything that your parents grew up with, I don't. That's corny. I don't like that. I didn't like Adam West Batman. I didn't like the classic Star Trek. I do now because
Yeah.
I'm older and I understand context and I appreciate. But all that stuff was corny. But the first time I walked on the bridge at Starbase Studios in Oklahoma, I all that stuff out the window. I loved it because you're in that environment, and
Yeah.
they've done such a great job at Neutral Zone of replicating those sets, and you will fall in love even if you are not a fan of the original series. Go get the chance to see it, even if you're a fan of classic sci-fi, or even if you're a fan of next gen Star Trek, and you're like, well, let me go take a look at that. You will fall in love with the sets just from an aesthetic
Mhm.
point of view. And the best thing, you're around other Trekkies, and that you get to meet great people.
It's awesome. It's
It's great.
absolutely
It's
awesome. It
fellowship.
is.
It's
Yeah, it
fellowship.
is. It's a fellowship. It is a fellowship. And so when I was there filming Ghost Ship, I obviously I met Ray, Tessie,
Yeah.
and I was
Wonderful guy.
telling him, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. So I was just sort of telling him about how there was this guy who had sort of approached me on Facebook wanting me to be the captain in his film. He's going to be making a film. But it was weird. I got the feeling that this guy was just pulling my chain. And when I told Ray this guy's name, Ray was like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. You got to just ignore him because yeah, he's bad news. So don't, he's not promised. He'll never make a movie. Just ignore him." And I was really kind of, yeah, I had a feeling that was the case, but I was like, yeah, I'm really kind of bummed because wow, the whole idea of ever being able to be a captain and sit in that center seat, it's like, wow, that would be amazing. Well, guess what? Just that little conversation I had with Ray, little did I know that what I had said, he kind of tucked away in his brain. And he had been working on a script with another gentleman, and I really wish I could remember his name. Forgive me, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. But the two of them wrote a script. And it turned out that when all was said and done, they kind of knew who they wanted to have be the captain. But then they said, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. I really I don't see a man really right for this role. I really think it should be a woman because the captain is having all this angst and all this being upset about the decisions that he made and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's too girly. It's not manly. And Ray was like, who I think would be good as the captain? I think Lezlie would be good. And but the man never saw me act. He saw me act as a zombie, but I didn't have any lines. But he had heard about, I think some of the other stuff I had done. He knew that I had acted in other movies and that I also did a lot of background work. So he knew I was an actress, but he had a lot of faith in me because he really never did see me act. So he called me up one day and just said, Lezlie, this is what's going on. I really think you'd be good as the captain. And of course, this is for the movie The Looking Glass.
Right.
And I was like, talk about, honestly, completely blown away. But blown away. I'm like, am I really hearing this? Am I dreaming? And so I'm telling you that when I filmed that movie, unfortunately, I think most actors don't like their acting,
Right. They're
and
their
I'm
own
I'm
worst
no
critic.
I'm no different. It's like all I'm seeing is, yeah, I really can see how nervous I was, how scared I was, and that's really coming through in my performance. Because I did have like a little like an acting coach. But my acting coach actually did agree with me on my assessment of myself. He said, yeah, you were a little bit wooden. You could have, there were certain times where you could have been a little bit more, you know, emote better and move your body more. Instead, I was just too frozen. And I love criticism. I'm fine with criticism as long as it's like a helpful criticism, not,
Right.
not anything that's
Not,
ridiculous.
not a cynical, not cynic, but a critic. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Big
So I
difference.
learned, it's always a learning. You're learning by doing. And but anyway, I love the role. I love the opportunity to do it, but talk about being incredible, because I felt so much on my shoulders
Yeah.
that, okay, Ray's trusting me that I'm going
Right.
to be able to pull this off.
It's all on
And
you. Yeah.
it's all on me. And I'm like, oh my God. But I loved it. And I feel incredibly blessed to have gotten that opportunity. And I always like to tell people that if they watch The Looking Glass and they watch the very last scene that I'm in, where I've made the decision of getting out of Starfleet, that I'm going to totally quit being the captain, and I'm very emotional. The emotion that I actually am giving in that scene is real. It's actually real. I'm not really acting, because it's me thinking about my dad and about where I ended up, all those years ago as that little kid sitting on his lap loving Star Trek and watching that with him. He did pass away in 2009. And I thought, wow, how proud would he be to see his daughter having grown up to be the captain
Yeah.
of a starship.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets to me every time I even say it, I get all emotional. So that's what I thought when I was saying my lines. So when I'm getting kind of choked up, that's actually what I'm thinking.
Well, and
So
that's the thing, the fan films get slammed a lot for wooden acting or not being legit or whatnot. But to me, I've always found that it's a great outlet for whatever emotional thing you're going through at the time, to kind of express those moments. And hey, Neelix. Hey, buddy.
hi, Dad.
Hey, son. Bye, son.
Hey, Felix. Hi, Royce.
But it's one of those things where, you know, if you're stressing about kids, if you're stressing about something, you can write a script about what you're kind of dealing with and put it in Star Trek terms and then act those things out. If you're overwhelmed with something, you put that into the performance and then you get it out, and then it's very therapeutic, and that,
It
you know
really is.
you talking about, you using the real life emotion of thinking about your dad and the, performance with your father. It's the method acting that you're kind of using, you're being that character, you're in that moment, and I love acting, and that's one of the wonderful things about it. It's like I said, it's very therapeutic, to get out those emotions, and people, those are the things that the critics of fan films don't look at things that way. You know, they're used to seeing, well, this isn't real Star Trek, or this isn't real acting. It's like you don't you don't see what goes into the performance. Not only the physical stuff at the sets, but the performance that we give and why we're doing what we're doing. You know, if they really looked at things from those perspectives of what actually goes into performing, I think they'd
Yeah.
see things from a different perspective. You know, we have Scott Johnson in the chat real quick. Says, "Hey Lezlie, hey man, and what's up, Scott? How are we doing?"
Hey, hi, Scott.
Star Trek Nature's Hunger says, "Fan films as a form of therapy." Interesting point. Yeah, no, it is. Like I know for me, I know several fan films. I know David Chang has done a take on uh, COVID. I've done my own take on COVID. I think a few others have done their take on COVID. I know for my real life situation, I've gone through uh, physical abuse. I've gone through relationship issues, you know, and I've put those, you know, in my films. Anyone that watches my films, you know, can see you know, the real world inspiration just with a Star Trek wrapper put in the film. You know, and that's one reason why I think the characters kind of come across a little bit more real um, than you know some fan films. Doesn't mean they're perfect, but that's one reason why I don't care if they're wearing, you know, they're wearing blue jeans. I don't care, you know, or we're wearing white sneakers. I don't care, you know, because my
Right.
issue is more about the performance than, you know, the story. Do you relate to the story, the characters, you know? Um,
Yeah.
but to me, I think that's more important than does this technically look like Star Trek? You know, because I'm never going to be compared to Star Trek Discovery. You know,
Well, I love your stories, and it's sort of like the suspension of disbelief. It's sort of like, okay, well, if a person can get, you know, involved with your characters
yeah,
and get immersed in the story, they're
right,
not going to care about, okay, that person's wearing blue jeans, or
right,
the badge is too high up, or, you know, it's just
right.
people
Well,
like that. They really shouldn't even be watching a fan film, right? If they're
yeah,
going to be ripping you apart like that,
yeah,
it's, you know,
don't watch my film. I don't want you to.
right,
Right, like going
right.
now we'll come full circle back to Pretender. Like opening the scene up with George, because this is a film that I wrote for George for his season finale. It originally it was supposed to be a kind of a two-part thing. It was going to open up on my channel and open up on his, and it was going to be a two-part thing. But I couldn't get all my stuff filmed, and I knew he wanted to do his season finale at a certain point. And I was like, hey, just go ahead and do yours. I'll put mine later, a little bit later on. So I'm not worried about it. Just go ahead and get it out. But it opens up for those who don't know what we're talking about the film The Pretender Antilles edition, which is on George Cayen's channel, Starship Antilles, episode 20. But the film opens up. Uh, I think it's the second scene, and it's you and me talking, and I'm playing the Phantom, who's pretending to be regular Bernard, and the character gets really kind of dirty with you, and you kind of take it like, oh, you fucking pervert, you know. Uh, but the whole thing about it is, again, you can look at that scene and go, it may not be technically accurate to stuff, but the whole point of that is anyone who's been around like in a bar and some creep is hitting on them. It's like that feeling of just your skin crawls, like damn it, you know, that's the feeling you want to get. And I think everything about that film works because it's always based just on a feeling. um and I have to say, in that performance that you gave, I love it because,
Aw, thank
well,
you.
you do a great performance. Like I think the way it bookends with you and the Phantom in the beginning, where it's just creepy when you realize, oh, this dude, this man, if I had some pepper
Yeah,
spray, you know. And then at the
yeah,
end, when you're kind of flirting with Menard, you know, and it's a real, like, it's not necessarily a sexual vibe, but it is a flirty vibe where it's like,
yeah,
you know, it's where you could definitely see the two cuddling on a couch, ready to turn on some
yeah.
Netflix, you know, and it is a loving vibe, which is what I was going for, because you know, and you and I both know that the characters do not end up together
Right.
Yes. And that is the relationship there is also a tragedy in its own sense. Um,
Yeah.
but in this film, it bookends quite nice, with disgust and then sweet. Your
Right.
performance in it is wonderful. Um,
Oh, thank you.
what what was your thoughts when you read the script? Because I think I sent you the whole thing. I don't think I just sent you your lines. I'm not sure. But what was your thoughts reading The Pretender?
Um, well, I knew for me personally, you did send me the whole thing, and I read
Okay.
the whole thing. Um, so I could get a better understanding, kind of like as to what was going on. But yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be challenging. I did, believe it or not, I actually did do more takes than what I filmed for you. Because I knew there was sort of a lot going on there, and I'm like, okay, should I wasn't 100% sure how much to be acting, uh, you know, like, because you're right. It's like it has to sort of be bookended,
Right.
and you. So yeah, I mean, there was sort of like a little bit of a gray area for me. I just wasn't 100% sure how to do it. But I mean, I was really glad though that by the time I felt kind of comfortable with what I was saying, how I was doing the lines, I did that's when I decided I would go ahead and do my takes. But but no, I really did actually kind of feel like it was a sort of a challenging, and I'm glad, because it's like when you're an actor, you want to be challenged.
Right.
I mean, you want to be, because
Yeah.
that's the only way you're going to grow as an
Yeah.
actor.
It's funny
So
because like if you it's funny because actors understand what you're talking about. Like when you're not an actor, you think, why would you want to be challenged? You just want to put stuff out there and act. But like when you're an actor, it's like when you find something that's just kind of generic, you're like, there's nothing here for me. I don't want this. And that's when you start to reject parts. And I never thought I would reject a part, but I actually have in probably maybe the past year I've rejected probably about a dozen parts, being like, no offense, this could be any captain, I don't want to do this, or this could be any engineer, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but there's nothing of substance here. I don't want to
right,
come off for, I mean, unless it's somebody that, I'm very close with, that I'm like, yeah, okay, it's for you, I'll do it. But if it's for someone that I'm not really friends with, it's like, no offense, give me something that's challenging, give me something I can yell at, or give me something that is,
yeah, where you're showing some emotion.
yeah,
I don't want to be just be giving somebody directions as to how to get to sick bay.
yeah,
You
exactly,
know,
yeah, or I
like,
don't want to be, I don't want to be ensign button pusher. Aye, sir.
yeah,
Real quick, William Wells says, "Hey guys, hi Lezlie, my favorite actress." Right there.
thank you,
So,
thank you very much.
so when you saw the film finally, because to me, I feel like this was, not to toot our horns, but I feel that this fan film, The Pretender, I feel like, despite it being kind of a comp box film, because a lot of Vance films are comp box films because we film them from
Yeah.
home, and it's, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of stuff doing it. I mean, I'm fat for a reason. I just sit on my butt. Um, and that's okay.
It
Um,
is. It's okay.
you know. But I feel like this film. I feel like there's a lot going on, and I feel like this one was very satisfying. Uh, it shows the emotional depth of what these characters are going through. It shows that this dude's kind of fucking with people, but it shows the reaction from both sides. And like I said, you really bookend this and you sell that point. It feels like you and I are in a relationship. It feels like you and I have been together for a while. What was it like watching the film? Like I said, I feel like this was a great film. Better
Well,
than most that I thought.
it makes me so happy to hear you say that, because whenever somebody is kind enough to give me a role, and they want me to be in their film, I definitely feel a certain amount of responsibility to them to try to give the best performance that I can give for them. Okay. And also all the people that will watch the movie as well, obviously. So when I watched the movie, I mean, as you can see, I've got a green screen right behind me, and this is actually where I do sit, the famous spot. But I really was very, very happy with it, because obviously for me, just sitting at my desk and I've got my little green screen behind me and I'm doing my lines and I'm doing my thing and I'm looking at my camera, I'm not really interacting with anybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody's there. Nobody's feeding me the lines. I just say my lines and I
Hope for
hit
the best.
pause or whatever, and then I move on to the next one, and then I just do it again. I'll, take two, and so you really have to, that's why you have to really, really study the script ahead of time. And I would text you, like, if I had any questions about anything, I wasn't sure about something, I would ask you. But it's there's no way I can envision what your vision is.
Right.
I mean, I can't. So all I can do is just try to say my lines as best I can and hope that you'll be happy with what I gave you.
Yeah.
And then just wait to see what happens, And so obviously when I saw The Pretender, I'm like, wow, that came together good. I love how it's all edited and it really looks like we're talking to each other, like how we are right now. And I mean, it really worked. It's great. I really liked it.
And that's the thing, like, I think, like, there's a few people that I think work better than others at doing the green screen communication. Like, hold on just 1 second. Guys, stop. Go. Rufus, go. Stop. Sorry, like, as I'm listening to you, I'm hearing, like, Rufus, like, attack Neelix, and, like, all I can imagine is him just, like, open mouth, like, ah. I'm like, stop. Jeez. Like, it's so distracting. Stop. Go. This. Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts.
I get it. I've had pets. I know.
Bless his heart. Oh my goodness. But, like, I think the thing, like take George, for instance. He's one person, him and Greg Mitchell. Those two guys are people that I can say a line and I know exactly how they're going to respond. So it's like, it's not even, it's like they're in the room. I'm like, oh, yep, they're going to say it this way. So I say my line. And I think with you, like, you and I've had quite a few phone conversations. We've talked, quite a bit, but we don't talk every day. But I think it's like, man, like, but I had trust with you because I know you. And when I wrote the lines,
and we've never met. But
that's
the amazing thing. What the amazing thing is, we've never met in person.
Right.
But yet I feel like we've got a really good bond and we've got a really good friendship and a good relationship, Yeah. So, I mean, I would give anything to one day. That's on my bucket list, Vance. Okay.
We will make it happen.
One day be on a set with you. Okay. I really do.
Whenever we're on set, you will sit in the captain's chair next to me. You will sit in my captain's chair, and that will be a thing.
Okay.
But that is the thing where you have to have a certain type of trust to be like, whatever it is, I trust her to get it done. Because I've been on green screen with some people where it's like, we're not talking together. Dang it. And then you're like, you got to let the editor know, like, hey, you're gonna have to work a little bit more TLC on this one than normal, But I know it because I saw your performance. Like, I saw the whole thing, like, before the editing, and I was like, you gave some damn good performances. Where I was watching several takes, I was like, man, any one of these is going to be wonderful. And to not only myself but to George too, to when you were talking to him, I mean, it's like you were in the room. And it's one of those things where, um again, you to not only be acting like you're talking to the person, but you sell the film, just like when you were the captain of the Starship for Ray's film. With this one, you sell the relationship of these two. I mean, it's easy for
Well,
Menard to go,
your performance was really, really good. So don't sell yourself short, okay?
oh, thank you,
I
thank
mean,
you.
I thought you did a really, really good job in the
So,
film as well.
so what you're telling me is I'm really good at being creepy.
Yes,
Bless your heart.
you are. Trust me, you did a really good job.
Thank you. There's a creepy old guy. It's Vance. Oh man, damn it, that's good. He's trying to score point. I offer you the captain's chair. You're like, oh, this creepy guy offered me his chair. It's man, we're batting 1,000, Lezlie. That's damn.
That's right.
Bless your heart. But no, that's no, I think it was wonderful because, like I said, you really, the relationship between those two characters. And the thing is, with each relationship the characters had, I know, it ends in tragedy because, it's not, the character of Menard is always meant to be a tragic character. It's not meant to last. But you and I both know where their relationship will end, because when I brought up, I was like, this is where I want it to go, and thankfully we've got everything filmed to see that through. And I've seen a rough cut of, I forget the title of it, but it's the one where uh, I ask, "Do you think I'm possessed?" And you're like, "I do actually." And I got to tell you, man, when I saw the ending of that one, I was like, "Menard, you're such a fucking douche." Because it's like,
Oh,
because you're trying to reach out, and I'm like, this is the
yeah,
moment where this is you fucked up, dude. You fucked up. Like, and it's such a bittersweet moment because I again,
yeah,
I wrote it and I'm like, I understand why you think this way, but dude, you're wrong. And when you're reaching out, like, it's one of those things where these are two characters that they could be happy, but because Menard is not trusting, it's like it rips your heart
right.
out, and it's just, and again, it's one of those things where
Um,
it's like, if I had seen this before The Pretender came out, it probably wouldn't have as bad of an impact. But because of the end of The Pretender, where you're almost rooting for them, because it's like after the death of Emily, and then
yeah,
he tries to go with Jennifer, but then that ship gets lost, and he's like, I don't really know if I can love again. And then you get that sense with these two where it's like, okay, he can love again, maybe, and then he just stops trust, and it's just like, shit, damn, again, I can't wait for the
yeah,
audience to start seeing these, so.
yeah, yeah. Um, that's what I really love about your scripts is that there's a lot of depth there. And again, it's for an actor to be able to be in your films uh is wonderful because it is there's a lot of meat there. And I don't know. I mean, I really think that, you've the way you've thought about all these, and to me, it is not a surprise at all that you were asked to go to that big Star Trek convention and be a guest there and talk about fan films and about your fan films because it's they're incredible. I mean, with what you do with your so-called no budget, um it's I think it's actually amazing. And a lot of it does come from the fact that you do have very, very good scripts, and your storyline is really, really good. And you definitely aren't always just sitting there. I mean, you have a lot of footage where you're outside and you're doing stuff outside, But no, I mean, I really, like I said, there's a reason you were asked to go. Not
Well,
all fan filmmakers are invited to go to that convention.
well, I,
So,
I, 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 I know as an actor, like when if Michael King says, "Hey, we're going to shoot at the set. I need you here." Sure, I'll be there. Because I love Michael King. Um, Tyler Donovan says, Vance, Lezlie, hey, what's up, Tyler? How we doing? And earlier, Donna Parker said hi. So, hey, Donna, I meant to say hi to you, Donna. Didn't mean to ignore. I completely forgot. Um, the thing about, like, I will always go. Like, I know I'm supposed to go later on this year to Warp 66 to go work with Josh for my final Avalon film. But the thing is, when I write a character, I always have kind of a storyline, like not a minor character, but a main character. To me, it's one of those things where it's like I love the DS9 approach, because when you look at, like, say, Nog started as kind of a throwaway character. Same thing with Garrick. He was kind of a throwaway character, a character if he never came back.
Yeah.
But they become such vital characters. And when you look at the Constar as a series, like, it's one of those ones where, like, that was the whole point of doing the Constar as a series, was characters in the beginning. When you watch Break Free, everybody there is kind of a throwaway character, but when you get to the battle to retake DS9, all of those characters throughout from Break Free on are relevant, and they're needed to retake DS9. And I wanted to show that where we are in life, whether we think we're important or whether we think we're not, like, every decision we make leads to something. And we may not be,
Right.
there may not be a Superman moment for us or a Batman moment for us where we save the day, but we're all vital to something where we can make a difference. And I think with the landscape that the world is in, because it's fucking scary on every goddamn day,
I know. It's
we need
terrible.
those moments where we can make a difference in a small way and impact the world if we just do our little part. And I'm not saying that we got to go out there and wear our recycled T-shirts and I mean, if you can't do that, don't do that. Don't worry about it. Don't try to be someone else's idea of what you can do. And that's what I wanted the Constar series to be, was, hey,
Yeah.
this tapestry of life. And Menard never even makes it to the battle to retake DS9. That's why I was like, no, he dies before we even get there. It was not Menard's journey to get there. It was Menard's journey to help all these people and impact them in different ways, some good, some bad. But their journey is to get there. And everyone else is like, it's we all impact, because eventually I'm going to die. 100 years from now, they're not going to know me, but I will impact other people, and maybe they'll impact others, and maybe the world will get better because maybe something small I did, that butterfly effect in a sense. And
Exactly.
and that's life. And that's why, like, when I brought up the characters of the Spangler for you, because you did kind of have to take over for another actress who couldn't fulfill everything. So I was like, okay, how am I going to write myself out of this corner that I'm going to intentionally put myself into? And then I kept adding scripts to you, which thankfully you were able to do.
Yeah.
But I think you did wonderful with everything you were given, and we were able to flesh this thing out, even though we knew it was a tragedy. It was still one of those things where it's like, but this is life, and what story can we tell through this? And I think it's wonderfully done. And I wanted to make it worth your time to be like, hey, let's do this, because how many people are going to look at this relationship and go, that's me. I'm pushing this person away because of my distrust, and maybe I can course correct and fix this.
Right. Exactly.
And that's the point. Maybe someone else can learn life lessons that sadly Menard will never get. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful to have you in these productions, because you make them better.
Well, thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love being in them. So
I'm glad. Well, I like I said, I saw an early copy. I can't wait for you to see them, because it should be out here in a couple weeks, and I will send you both of the final films are being edited. One of them is just about done, and I will send you an early copy. I'm thinking it's going to be out in like maybe 2 weeks on YouTube publicly, but it's always a fingers crossed type thing. So, but
sounds good. Sounds good. I look forward to it.
Good deal. So, real quick before we go, because I know I said I'd keep you an hour. We've been just a little bit over. If, real quick, where can we go to find you if we want to reach you and contact you, and maybe put you back in the captain's chair one more time if one of the producers want to do that?
Well, obviously, I guess just Facebook. I do have an Instagram account, but in all honesty, I don't go to it very often. And even though I've also have a Twitter account, I don't go to that one very often either. My main thing I go to is Facebook. So if
Okay.
anybody needs to contact me or talk to me, just send me a message on that messenger, the Facebook Messenger thing. And just it's Lezlie Sawyer, and I'm easy to find since not too many Leslies are spelled with a Z.
All right, I'll put that link in the description. So anybody in the live chat right now, give me about 5 minutes, and I'll have the link in the description. And just click on the description and shoot her a friend request. Sure, she'll accept it. Anyone watching on the rewind, just click on the description, shoot her a friend request, and then a message.
Yeah, please do. I'll definitely accept your friend request.
And is there anything that you have coming up that we can look forward to besides my two films that are coming up?
Well, like I said, I have to admit I have no idea when Josh is going to be putting out the film that I just got done. I filmed at the end of February, an Avalon, a segment for one of his Avalon films that we did film at Neutral Zone Studios. But right now, I don't know when that's going to be released. And Tyler is in that one. Go Captain Mason.
Tyler? Who's Tyler? I don't know, Mr. Donovan. Oh,
yeah.
you got me.
And then this coming weekend, I actually am going to be filming with Jose Cepeda in his studios, which are absolutely, that's another thing where honestly you get goosebumps. Jose did honestly do an amazing job of creating these incredible sets down in his basement. And you'd never know in a million years you're in somebody's house in their basement. You really wouldn't. And I think he's just incredibly talented. And
Yeah.
it's like, so when you see the Nature's Hunger and you see the sets that we're in, he built those sets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's fantastic. So, but anyway, this coming weekend, I'm going to be filming the next installment of Razor's Edge. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. And that he's shown me, because he has already started filming it. And he showed me a little bit of a rough cut of some scenes he filmed already, and I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be a winner for sure. It looks really good. So
what you're telling me is, between all these fan films you still got going on, you're the Where's Waldo, you're still going to keep us guessing of where you're going to pop up next, where you're at, huh?
Yep, I'll be like popcorn. I'm going to be kind of popping up.
There you go, man. There you go. All right. Well, Lezlie, I want to say thank you for joining me. Everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Go check out Star Trek Nature's Hunger. I'm probably going to put a link to their YouTube page as well, so you can go watch Lezlie over there.
Yeah, and I had to do a British accent for that, for Veronica Pepperstone. So that was a little bit challenging, because actually that's the only part I've done where I had to have an accent. But that actually was my idea. I actually asked Jose, I said, Jose, her name is Veronica Pepperstone. That sounds very British to me. Plus she's a wizard. So I'm thinking Harry Potter, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I think she's going to be British. Would you be okay if I did with a British accent? He's like, well, let me hear how you sound. So when I talk, how I talk, he was like, yeah, that's good. You could do that.
Well, Jose says that their next film is A Fighting Chance. So that's their next film coming up.
Yep.
That's thing I love about Jose's films is, like, who would ever thought, like, a wizard in Star Trek? Like, what? Like, what?
I know.
What?
You know what?
Like,
the guy needs to be at least nominated or something. I don't know why he's getting passed over. I'm serious. It's like when you watch his movies, I feel like at least throw him a bone, give for like
Most
creativity.
original,
For a
most
most
original
original
concept
film,
like
okay?
that.
Because
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, it's
Planet
like
of
that.
the Apes. It is. It's like Planet of the Apes meets Harry Potter meets Star Trek.
And Wizard
Who's
of
gonna
Oz.
think
Don't
of
forget Wizard of
that?
Oz. Don't forget Wizard of Oz. I mean, that
And
was
Wizard
Dorothy.
of Oz. Yeah, you got Wizard of Oz in there too.
I mean, that's like when he told me that, hey, so Menard's friends with Dorothy, and he's kind of checking up on her to make sure. I'm like, Dorothy, who the fuck is Dorothy? Like, what is this? What?
No.
And then when I was like, oh wait, that Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, dude, keep me on, sign me up. Like, I want to keep coming back for this shit. Like, this is awesome.
It's
Like,
awesome.
yes, I
It's
will keep.
great.
I want to see this resolved.
Yeah.
Like even though I'm done with my films, there's very few people that I will keep doing cameos for. This is one of them because
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
red slippers and all, Toto. I will go get a little. I will get one of those stuffed dogs and put that in my background. Be like, I got Toto for you, Dorothy. We're rooting for you. I
That's
will do it.
awesome.
Just
See
keep
now,
me on.
If Jose heard you, he's probably going to ask you to do that.
He's probably on eBay buying that stuffed
He's
dog.
He's writing the script right now. Okay, yeah, we got to get Menard in there with Toto.
I love it. I love it. You heard it here first, guys. So anyway, all right. So with that being said, everybody, thank you for watching. I had a great time, Lezlie. I fucking love you.
Oh, I love you too. I loved
right.
it. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.